I always have to start with pigeons. Something I find really interesting about the society I live in is that the animals we've been taught to hate the most always seem to be the ones who are best adapted to the havoc that we as human beings have inflicted upon our shared environments. Ants are drawn to our sugar, rats to our bin bags, and pigeons to our crumbs. City pigeons are especially dirty things, and you know this because in town centres and on high streets it's not hard to find signs put up by the council or private businesses that tell you do not feed the pigeons. And you've got to wonder, how dirty must something be if they shouldn't be allowed to eat and live? And of course it's pigeons who are dirty, not us who have created the environment they live in now. But what's interesting about the city pigeon is that unlike other synanthropic animals like the brown rat or the fox, the city pigeon isn't a wild animal. They are the feral descendants of domestic animals that we have largely abandoned. I'm Megan Henebury and I'm an artist based in Birmingham, UK. I was born here, I'm still here, and this region is essentially the driving force of my practice. I'm concerned with the objects, places, times, and relationships that make home home. In particular, those things that we have lost, which I think is especially pertinent to a place like Birmingham, which is constantly changing and leaving things behind, which I think is at the root of who we are and what makes us Brummies. This footage is from a work in progress concerning just the simple documentation of the everyday world of pigeons, with a focus on the pigeon population of my local high street in Sturchley. This is eventually going to become a remote drawing workshop made in collaboration with Hip Kiss and Graney, the artists who run Artifact. It's going to be part of their Sturchley Tapestry project. Pigeons are as divisive around here as they have been everywhere for many years. We're of the opinion that they're essential members of this community. I think it's important to begin with pigeons whenever I talk about my work, because in the beginning I didn't even really know why I was so drawn to them. In my time at the Birmingham School of Art, I've come to appreciate that my lifelong love of pigeons is about so much more than just enjoying a sweet, charming bird. They initiated with me an important dialogue about notions of class, culture, and regional identity, which initially manifested as drawings and hand-cut collages and crude printmaking, but eventually led me to establish psychogeography, map-making, ecologies, histories, and human geography as the foundation of my practice. I also need to refer to the remarkable homing instinct of the pigeon. That's relevant to my work. What began with pigeon-led thinking developed into forward thinking, making a map of Birmingham by walking through the water of Birmingham's River Ray. I'm a member of Walkspace, a walking artists collective originally based in Sturchley, but now encompassing members from the wider reaches of the West Midlands region. With their support, I embarked upon a mission to walk the course of the River Ray in a pair of waders with a GoPro strapped to my chest. And in doing so, I'm making the journey along what is essentially Birmingham's first road, as it's the river that our city was founded on. The results of this are kind of serving as practice-led ethnography, which is made in collaboration with the water of the river. In the project, I'm renegotiating my own relationship with the city of Birmingham by means of bodies connecting. My own body and the body of water, the river, are materials which become entangled and borderless. The reactions produced from this entanglement is my work. The act of river walking and the efforts to transcribe the events of the walks are my responses to this. So I document my walks. I have people with me at all times, and those conversations that I have with them are really important. And then I make the results into films. These are my attempts to listen and interpret human and non-human dialogues, which are initiated by following the path of the river that makes Birmingham. In my experience, the work is all at once joyful, utterly miserable, and always wet, always soggy, always watery. There's an element of absurdity and playfulness that I really wouldn't want to understate. I think wading the course of a river is inevitably a ridiculous thing to do. And that's why I believe in it, because I believe in the power of play as our most important tool for learning, for sharing, for growing. And it's so hard to learn or teach anything when no one's having fun. And I don't think Birmingham is having anywhere near enough fun. I mean, a big part of our identity as Brummies is that we are kind of bogged down in this unhappiness and this insecurity that we're not the place we could be. And I think our constant redevelopment, which is arguably never in the right direction, is a big part of that. I presented my river walk with a short film. This was made using video footage obtained on the walks, along with my own stream of consciousness writing done at the end of the walks, and transcriptions of conversations I had with walking companions on the route. My intention is to interpret and honour the histories that run through the river, acknowledging and respecting borderless communications between the human and non-human, in this case the river and myself. Limitations definitely occurred as a result of the global pandemic. Consequently, that's been really quite informative in how the work has manifested. Oftentimes I was not able to go out on walks at all because there were quite strict instructions to not leave the house, or my walking companions would be shielding or self-isolating, and it was very important not to walk alone for various reasons. It has been frustrating, particularly when considering the fact that as artists we have an expectation to be inspired and respond creatively to what has been a really quite traumatic crisis. I think what I have tried to take from it is the fact that the work that I do is by nature introspective. I'm concerned with the home, I'm concerned with my immediate surroundings. And I suppose in that sense, the work that I do and how I work shouldn't really be affected. So I turned the camera and the documenting to my own home. and started to pay more attention to what was closer and closer to me, what made me, what made the home a home. Responding to that has had an enormous impact, I think, in the way that I approach working. I found myself more observant and more reluctant to stray, which of course brings me back to the pigeons and the nature of what brings us home.